Welcome to another exciting edition of the Plumbing 101 show. I'm Willem Klopper, I'm your host, and in this episode we'll be chatting again on the subject about the importance of professional bodies, why they exist, why are they so important. Now if you take the PIRB as an example, as a professional body, they lead and represent the plumbing industry as an industry that is finding its feet in being professionalized. Now, joining me for this conversation is Mr. Aubrey Keble. Aubrey, a warm welcome to you and thank you for joining me.
Thanks very much, Willem. Good to be here.
We've met just about over a year ago, and it's good to finally have you on the show and have your presence, your knowledge, and your experience here.
Thanks for inviting me.
Before Aubrey and myself will get our conversation started, we're going to cross over to some quick news about the industry. Do stay tuned for the news. Aubrey and I will be back right after this.
Hello and welcome to the news. In latest news, Braidline Africa is working to get rid of pit latrines. People in South Africa are still troubled by the issue of pit latrines in schools throughout the nation and all the lives they have claimed. Over the course of the next 18 months, Braidline Africa hopes to eliminate every pit toilet in KwaZulu-Natal and the Eastern Cape. By 2025, the Basic Education Department wants to be completely free of pit latrines. Moving on, a new global pledge has been made to remove lead from all drinking water supply systems by the year 2040. At the United Nations 2023 Water Conference, a coalition of governments, corporations, and civil society partners announced a worldwide commitment to lead-free drinking water. Reduced exposure to lead in the environment, especially lead in drinking water, is desperately needed. With technology on our side, this problem should be easy to avoid. The commitment outlines steps to end the use of lead leaching components in the design of new water systems. Oversight and repair of systems that currently give off lead in potable water will also be enhanced. For more information, visit worldplumbing.org. And lastly, Think Before You Open is Rand Water's new campaign with Gogo Nomanzi. As the face of this drive, Gogo Nomanzi is here to remind you to think before you open. This is not to criticize, rather, it's to provide you with some useful advice on water conservation. Due to significant restrictions on their distribution network caused by rising temperatures, Rand Water wishes to advise customers to use water sparingly. That's all for now. Let's take it back to studio.
Welcome back, and thanks to the news team for keeping us up to date with what's going on in the country and in the plumbing industry. Now, just before we went into the ad break, I did mention that this episode is going to again touch on the subject about the importance of professional bodies, the role they fulfill, why they exist, and why they're so important. And I also did mention that my guest for today is Mr. Aubrey Keble. Aubrey, just before you and I start delving into our conversation, just a brief introduction of yourself to our viewers out there, please.
Okay. My name's Aubrey Keble. I've been in the plumbing industry since the 70s, early 70s. It's coming up to the 50 years that I've been on construction sites. And I've enjoyed my trade. I'm still enjoying it, and this is why today I'm here at the PIRB to put across some good information on where we are in our plumbing industry.
Aubrey, your company, you do commercial plumbing, you do
Correct.
Larger projects of
Correct.
this kind of thing, not necessarily your maintenance type of plumbing.
No, we on the commercial side, we are on the bigger projects. And like I was saying to you earlier, we need to have a look at how we categorize the plumbing industry now and not just paint it with one brush. So we deal strictly on the bigger stuff.
Aubrey, but you're also very passionate about your trade. You're very passionate about the industry itself. I mean, I did mention that you and I met about a year and a half ago or so, if it wasn't maybe longer. It was, again, at one of the plumbing events.
Yes.
And I always see and meet you. Since then, I've always seen and met you at all of these events, plumbers' evenings, plumber days and exhibitions and all of those kind of days. Artisans days, you know, it's you're always there, you're always present, and you always show that passion with the kind of discussions that you have and the kind of debates that you have with different representatives from the industry, even from people with insurance companies and government,
Yes.
etc.
Yeah.
And I always see some of the conversations even get heated because you're very passionate about your trade and your industry.
100%, Willem. I've come a long way in this industry, and all I want to see in this industry is the improvement for the betterment of the plumbers out there and the companies, and at the same time not forgetting the client and the consumers. So when you say passionate, yes, I am. This is why I'm sitting here today. I really want to see a big improvement or get back to where we were when we were classified as second to a doctor in those days when I started, because we're dealing with the water, and we bring potable water to people's homes, and that's all about hygiene. And you can see what's going on today with our water problem. So when you say passionate, 100%.
Aubrey, talking about the restoration of that sort of dignity of the plumbers, of the plumbing trade itself.
Yes.
We've heard this now from people who actually represent industry bodies, like the PIRB and IOPSA. But I'd like to hear it from your perspective. As a plumber, person who's been in the trade for 50 years, what would you say, why do, like a professional body like the PIRB, why do they exist? What role, in your perspective, do they exist? There's no right or wrong answer. It's just purely from the heart. What you see them, what role they fulfill.
Okay. I think the main role here is keeping up the standard. We want a professional plumbing industry like we were years ago. This was regulated by MBA at the time, and PIRB have now come in and they now taken over this role, and it's got to be regulated. There's no other way of an industry not being regulated properly. And PIRB have opened doors for us. This is why you can now go in and discuss things and get the right solutions for the problems we got in the industry. And this is where PIRB plays a big part, a hell of a big part. It's got to be regulated. It's got to get back to the professionalism it had.
Yes.
And it's not that we can't do it. We can do it through PIRB. If we get all the role players together, we can get it back to its glory. Definitely.
We've spoken about, off air before we started recording, you and I spoke about, there are unqualified plumbers who refer to themselves as plumbers.
Plumbers, yes.
And they're on the side of the road and the side of the streets, they're holding up signs that says, I'm a plumber, I can do plumbing for you, because they know how to fit two pipes together. But the fact is, do they know about the standards? They haven't gotten the qualification, they haven't gotten the knowledge about the technicalities and the intricacy of plumbing itself, right? Let alone knowing about the requirements of standards, regulations, legislation, municipal bylaws. They don't know these things. And what they're doing is they're placing the consumer at risk. Both the health and safety of the consumer as well as financially. Because if they mess up the plumbing work that they do for the consumer, and now the consumer 2 months down the line have to call in a properly qualified plumber, they're going to have to pay twice for the same job that has been done. And somebody has to sort of oversee to see that plumbing is done according to the standards, the regulations, the bylaws, those kind of things.
Correct.
But also at the same time, professionalize it. Again, restore that dignity that plumbers had in the past.
Correct.
The perspective that the plumbers had about themselves and that society had about plumbers.
Correct.
You know,
Yeah.
people looked at plumbers. It's an essential service. A civilization cannot exist without plumbers.
Without plumbers, correct. So, Willem, my take on this is this. This is why you got PIRB, and this is why I'm when it comes to regulations, when you've got plumbers standing on the street like you just mentioned, I'm a plumber. This needs to get out to the consumers and the clients. Your plumbing is an important part of a building. You cannot just get any Tom, Dick and Harry off the street to come and do this installation. And I think that needs to be put out to consumers, to clients out there. Get the professional people in to do the professional work. Because the other thing that happens is you get someone that comes in, they fit a geyser or they do some plumbing, things go wrong. Now you look for this person to come and rectify that. He's nowhere to be found. So you are paying a hell of a lot of money for an installation that is incorrect. So through the PIRB, you're getting this out to consumers, you're getting this out to clients. It's out there. You're not sure who you're hiring. Contact the PIRB and get the professional people in. Let's get professional work done in people's homes and in our commercial buildings and that. It's got to be done. It's got to be regulated. It's not a installation that you're putting it in for the next 10 or 20 days I'll be okay. These installations are being put in for years to come.
Yes, for a lifetime.
For a lifetime.
Yes, certain products only last like 20 years or whatever, but then again, a professional or a properly qualified and trained plumber should be the one who comes and either repairs or replaces it.
Or revamp, we're
Exactly.
upgrading or whatever. But it's got to be done, you got to have a professional installation according to bylaws, rules and regulations and whatever's out there when it comes to the standard of plumbing. Because I've come through the ranks and I always maintain you do good standard work, you will always be employed, you will always have work because you put in a decent product out there, your name is involved, so you stand by your name. And that's what I've done through the years. There's no ways I'm going to go in and do a sloppy job, get paid and run off, and when someone looks for me, now I've disappeared. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
You got to be, it's a professional's industry. That's what it is.
Talking about your business and the services you deliver. By the time that the PIRB came into existence, I think it was in 2009, right?
Yeah.
You'd already been in the industry for about, in the trade for
30
about
odd years.
30 odd years.
Yes.
So how did the existence of a professional body for your trade, for your industry, how did it affect your business? How did it affect things? Were there some barriers that you experienced? Did you perceive it as a good thing, a bad thing? Was there some hiccups? Was it wow? I'm going to leave it to you.
Okay. If you go back a good couple of years, I'm going back almost 40 odd years, we had MBA. We heard of MBA, okay, but we never interacted with MBA. Since PIRB have come in, there's doors now that are opened to any professional company, plumber, registered plumber, whatever. There's a door that's opened now where you can get better advice. You can, there's so many things you can now do through the PIRB. Things you're not happy with, go and discuss it with PIRB. We never had that in those 30, 40 years back.
It's almost like that community, that sense of community that the PIRB then establishes.
Correct. You're now forming this plumbing community. And when you got something like this and everyone, all the role players are in there and you're discussing things, it's only one thing that comes out of that is positivity. Because now you're discussing things, you're finding out the right way to do things. Everything is regulated. What else do you need? And if you stick to what is being discussed and the regulations, then you run a professional company. That boils down to the last maintenance plumber that's in his van going off to someone's home to do work. He's a professional person. He belongs to the PIRB. They're regulated. We know what's going on in our industry, the right thing, the right way to do things, the wrong way to do things. So coming back to that regulation also, you've got to have the regulation board, a proper board, which PIRB are doing. We can say that. And we've got to get it back to being professional again.
Yes.
People must, when they see a plumber drive into their yard, they must know this is a professional plumber coming in.
It's not a cowboy, not a gunslinger.
Correct.
Cowboy plumber who does things any way they want to, and then again putting the consumer at risk, both financially and health and safety, like I mentioned earlier in the conversation.
100%.
Aubrey, we've got to go to a quick ad break. For our viewers out there, do stay tuned, because right after these ads, and by the way, stay tuned for the ads because they are for your benefit and your interest. But Aubrey and I will be back right after these.
The PIRB Master Plumber Recognition Program has officially arrived. As an essential service to society, there must be constant growth and development within this important and ever-changing industry. Developed by the PIRB, the Master Plumber Recognition Program has launched as a new PIRB designation, allowing industry champions to take the lead. Skilled and experienced plumbers equipped to take the lead enroll today to start your journey in becoming a recognized PIRB Master Plumber.
It's an exciting time to be a professionally registered plumber. The PIRB's leaderboard provides plumbers with the opportunity to be placed onto a ranking system to see how they perform amongst their peers around the country. This ranking system enables both plumbers and consumers to identify top local plumbers and monitor their performance nationally and regionally. Consumers will always look for the best, and at the top is where you'd want to be. It is therefore very important to be dedicated to continuously upskilling yourself through continuous professional development activities. The CPD points you accumulate during the CPD program will allow you to be rated on the leaderboard as you grow. The ranking system runs on a 3-month rolling average, where you can find yourself at the very top by accumulating more points than your peers. Top-ranked plumbers also stand a chance to win prizes through a lucky draw, where winners are announced on the PIRB's Plumbing 101 shows on YouTube. Do not miss out on the opportunity to be highlighted as an elite plumber in South Africa. Start accumulating points and become one of the best. Get skilled, get rewarded.
Welcome back to this episode of the Plumbing 101 show with myself, Willem Klopper, your host, and my guest, Aubrey Keble, in which we are discussing the importance of professional bodies. And we had quite an interesting conversation before we went into the ad break, Aubrey, but I want to continue to ask, as a registered plumber, do you feel that, because just before we went into the ad break, we touched on that subject of feeling like it's an involved industry body. Mm-hmm. You mentioned a previous industry body that had to oversee plumbing, and sort of you heard of it in the distance there, but never felt connected or whatever.
Correct.
But do you feel that the PIRB as an industry body puts in effort to maintain connection with registered plumbers, the plumbers that are registered with it, mm-hmm. To be involved with them and to allow the plumber to be involved and have a say and to hear the voice of the plumber?
Most definitely. Most definitely. This is why, like you mentioned, you mentioned early on, you've met me in these different functions and whatever. It's all about the roadshow. Mm. It's about the roadshow. It's about putting it out there what PIRB really stands for. And it gives the plumber and the companies, the plumbing companies, it gives them the option of communicating, connecting with the regulation board, discussing problems, ironing them out, so that you, again, like I said earlier, you end up with this professional plumbing industry that is out there. Mm. Because you've got a regulation board that is interacting on a daily basis with plumbers, with companies, with suppliers, and things like that. So it makes running a business much easier, because you've got a regulator that you can go to and discuss things. Mm. We didn't have that
Yeah.
years ago. We did not have that.
Yeah.
So the doors have opened. Now, because the doors have opened, there's a lot of communication going on about our industry, which is good, which is what we need. And from here, it can only improve. It can only get better.
It was interesting you mentioned the roadshow and how the PRB then actually puts in that effort to go out to the remote areas, the outlying areas, to go and interact and connect with those plumbers. You know, it's always one thing to be based in your province where your head office is, but then to send your representatives to go and interact and mingle with the plumbers down on the ground right there.
Yes.
And then again also, I know that for a while the PRB had meet and greets where they invited plumbers to actually come and enjoy get-togethers where the plumbers sit and interact with the board or with representatives of the PRB itself. And I also know that, you know, these shows, I mean, they have these shows that they connect with the plumbers with. They have got a show that they call On the Couch, where all the plumbing related and the industry body related and the questions that plumbers may have about regulation, the regulating and legislation and the standards and those kind of things, where all of those questions are addressed in. So I think from my side, you know, I think besides the road shows and all the plumbing days and events and those kind of things that they have, from my side, what I experience is that they're putting in a lot of effort. But that steers directly into the other question that I have.
Yes.
When it comes to specifically communicating a message to both plumbers and to consumers about the professionalizing the industry again, like you said, bringing it back up to a high standard.
Yes.
Changing the perspective about plumber, inside of the plumber themselves, about their own trade and their own industry, as well as with the consumers and society. When it comes to communicating, professionalizing this industry again, restoring that dignity, do you think that PRB is achieving that or putting in effort to do that?
Most definitely, Willem. Most definitely. I mean, you said it earlier on. I met you a year or two ago. Look where I'm sitting. We're discussing what goes on in our industry. So it's definitely, the effort is there. I think there's a lot of companies, registered plumbers out there that would like to be sitting where I'm sitting. So the effort is definitely there, and I must take my hat off to PIRB, because, like I said earlier, we didn't have this before PIRB. We were all alone out there doing our work and whatever. We've now got, we can interact now with the regulation board. We can bring our problems here.
Yeah.
We can discuss them. We can resolve them and go out there and run better businesses.
Yeah.
And that's, I take my hat off to PIRB. The work that you gentlemen are putting in, it's for the benefit of the industry.
The upliftment.
The upliftment, the benefit of the industry, the benefit of the plumber out there, the consumer, the client. You couldn't ask for anything better, as a regulation board. But like I said earlier on, the doors have opened. We've got to take this with two hands and be involved. We're not just sitting on the sideline now. We've been involved with the regulator, which is a good thing. So hats off to PIRB, and yes, definitely a good effort.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I think off air, just before we started recording again, you and I chatted about all the radio interviews and the TV interviews that the representatives of the PRB are conducting or doing or being part of, discussing the professional body or the professional trade of plumbing with the consumers out there. Again, changing the perspective of consumers about plumbers. And saying to them that, listen, you need plumbers. Plumbers is an essential service, but plumbers are also people with the very good training and a lot of knowledge, and their trade is very intricate because they have to work according to regulation. They have to work according to the requirements of applicable standards.
Correct.
There are municipal bylaws that they have to.
Correct.
And I always say, in the 4 years that I've been in this trade, I'm not a plumber by trade, I'm not a plumber myself. But what I've learned from what plumbers must all comply with, how intricate it is, the math that has to go into calculating things like flow rates and those kind of things.
Correct.
The average consumer just has no idea. Aubrey, let me tell you, they have no idea how complex plumbing really is.
I agree with you.
And through shows like these, these are available to the public as well, to the consumer, not only to the plumbers.
Correct.
When they sit and listen to, especially like the technical podcasts, and they hear, especially when I tell my family and friends, hey, listen to that episode of the technical podcast, and then your brows will raise because you never knew that plumbing is that complex.
It is.
And those are all efforts that the PIRB is putting in to communicate that this is a professional trade.
Correct.
And it should be seen and respected as that.
Willem, what PIRB is doing, in a nutshell, you're exposing the professionalism of a plumber. That's what we're really doing here now. Okay? And I think in doing so, you give the public confidence out there that there's a regulation board. You're dealing with the professional plumber. You're not dealing with Jack or Peter off the street corner. So the exposing the professionalism of plumbers and their companies and whatever, that you make the consumer and the client comfortable. That's all you need. That's part of it. And like you said, plumbers come through a lot. If you've learned your trade properly, and there's the rules, the regulation, the bylaws, and the one biggest thing now that I want to mention now on the bigger projects that I get involved in is the safety aspect.
Oh yeah.
That forms part of a plumber's toolbox. The safety, the installation, the COCs and whatever. So it's not just the plumber walking on there, it's a professional person walking, onto a job or into your home.
Yeah.
And the background that he's come from makes him that professional person.
Or be equally compared to engineers, architects, all of those things.
Correct.
They walk hand in hand with those trades anyway.
Yes.
But it's equally on par with them when it comes to how professional this trade
trade
really
is.
Yeah.
Correct, 100%.
Aubrey, we keep referring to it now in our conversation as the regulatory body or so. They're not there yet, but the fact is that they're doing quite a good job of overseeing things and putting into place processes to ensure that the trade is professionalized, that the people in the trade work, the installers, the plumbers, the technicians, that they work according to regulations and bylaws and specifically the standards. So I think that they're doing quite a good job of that, even though that, for lack of better terms, we call them the regulatory body. But I want to ask you quickly, what is the PIRB as a professional body? There's this body that stands for, it's a register of like-minded plumbers who take their career and their trade seriously.
Yes.
And it's not to say that plumbers who are not registered don't take it seriously. But the PIRB, I think, works toward working to ensure that the guy that's not qualified out in the street. I mean, we said it off air. How is the plumber that is qualified, that's got years of experience, all of this knowledge, that cost him money to get that trade certificate and the training that he did, and then it took him years to get to the experience and the knowledge that he currently has. If he charges a specific amount per hour for a call-out fee or whatever the case may be, how can he compete to somebody that charges less than half of that? But that person is not qualified. That person doesn't know the regulations and legislation and the bylaws and the standards. How can it be a sustainable career, a sustainable trade for you? How can you make a living if you constantly have to compete? And I think the PIRB, they're trying to get those kind of people either out of the picture to say, if you're not going to put in the effort to ever become qualified, rather move out. Or alternatively, if you're interested in becoming qualified, there's an RPL, recognition of prior learning. Let's put you through a program where you can then get to a level of being properly qualified.
Correct.
So that you too can work according to the regulations and legislation and bylaws and standards, the requirements of standards.
Yeah.
But what do you think? I think I almost answered my own question. What does the PIRB offer their registered plumbers?
Okay. First of all, the PIRB is on the right road. We're trying to haul in these plumbers that are not registered. They've been in the industry so long. They know what they're doing. All they need to do is to register and be part of this that we got going on as a regulatory board, and to be part of this plumbing family, because that's what we want. We don't mind you out there doing work. You got to earn a living, but come in and be part of the proper plumbing industry, the professional plumbing industry that you are operating in. And I'm confident that PIRB will, in time to come, get to all these plumbers. And I don't want to label them, as just the plumbers. Some of them are very good plumbers. They've been in the game for years. So it's a matter, and I'm confident that PIRB will rake them in. Get them into this nice plumbing family that we got going on, where you're dealing with the regulatory board. You can, air your problems, your views on the plumbing industry. So it's going to happen. It may take a bit of time, but we're getting there. So we want to level out the playing field when it comes to competition. That is what we're trying to achieve here. We want everyone on the same playing field, same level, and everyone pricing jobs at the right way, the market-related way. And the only way you do that is when you are a registered plumber, because you know what your credentials are. You know your professionalism. So this is what I'm meant to charge you. And that is it. And if we're all on that same page, life gets easier out there, business gets better, because there's competition. And customers and clients want the best professional job done.
Yeah.
And if you are the person to do it, you get the work.
Do you think that the PIRB sort of fulfills their sort of a mandate of protecting the best interest of the industry and the trade and the people within the trade?
Definitely, yes. And the consumer and client.
Oh yes, for sure.
Definitely. The regulatory board, that's their role. You serve in the plumbing segment of the construction industry, or the building industry, and at the same time you are mentoring the client out there, and the people that the homes that these plumbers go to. So in a way, you've got a regulatory board today that is also playing the role of a mentor. So it's like you're wearing two hats here. But it is working, it's improving, it's getting better, and we're going to get back to where we were as professional plumbers.
Yeah.
We're not your everyday street plumber that you pick up. And we want everyone in this family. We're not pushing anyone out.
Yes, rather include.
We're asking you to come and let's form this community of good professional plumbers. That's what we're asking for.
We're going to head to an ad break. Just want to reiterate quickly, we keep referring to the PIRB as the regulatory board. They are the professional body for plumbers in South Africa. Right. I do think that they are putting in a lot of effort to ensure that plumbing sort of sticks to required standards and those kind of things.
And ethics.
Yeah.
I agree 100%.
And ethics for that matter as well. Both protecting the consumer and the plumbers themselves,
Correct.
the trade, and those that they deliver service to. To our viewers, we're going to go over to some ad breaks quickly. Again, stay tuned for those ads. They are for your interest and your benefits. Aubrey and I will be back right after this.
Good day. How can I help you?
Hi,
I'm here to log in my COCs, but I seem to be having an issue with my computer.
No problem. But did you know that you can log your COCs using an app on your cell phone?
Oh, what app is that?
It's called the App Plumber. Do you have a smartphone with you?
Yes, I do.
Oh well, let me show you how it works.
Not only can you access your PIRB profile on the App Plumber, but you can also earn CPD points while exploring the plumbing industry in the palm of your hand. Download the app from Google Play Store and join thousands of other happy users.
We have an exciting announcement. Want to win big with Ariston and PIRB? You could win incredible prizes like the Andros Lux 10-liter, 6,000 points on my Ariston, or the massive Axios 150-liter geyser. Download App Plumber now and head to Scratch and win. Play every day for your chance to win big. Don't miss out. Download App Plumber today and let the winning begin.
Welcome back to this edition of the Plumbing 101 show with myself, Willem Klopper, and my guest, Aubrey Keble, in which we're discussing professional bodies, their importance, why they exist, the role and the mandate that they fulfill. There was much that was said before we went into the ad break. We had a lacquer discussion, Aubrey. I want to round it off because we are drawing to a close of this episode and we don't have a lot of time left. But I want to ask you quickly, in the 50 years that you've been in the industry and the trade, I've seen it, I've mentioned it earlier in this conversation, you take absolute pride in your trade, in what you do. You take pride in your services that you deliver, in your business, in your trade, in your person, even the way that you carry yourself. I always see you at all these events. You come and partake. You are always involved in every industry happening. You are all constantly there. Where things happen with your trade and your industry, you're there, you're involved. You go and have your say, you have debates, you reason with people, you debate with people, you discuss things with people that you're passionate about and concerned about. You raise your concerns and you want to level them out and concern. So I want to ask you quickly, do you support the concept of a professional body like the PIRB, the concept of a body that sort of ensures that things happen according to the applicable standards and those kind of things, that professionalizes your industry? Do you support that concept?
100%. And I think the PIRB can touch base with the last youngest plumber down there. That's the doors that's been opened. It doesn't have to be all the professional teams at the bottom. You've got a system here where the newest plumber in the industry can come in and be part of PIRB. And you couldn't ask for more than that, where you can get involved with the PIRB and, like I said earlier on, improve your knowledge of plumbing, because the doors are all open. You've got an institute here that is passionate about the professionalism of a plumber, and you are touching all different types of plumbers, from the apprentice to the top plumber that's, I'm not going to call myself a top plumber, but someone that's been in the game 40, 50 years. So you're dealing with from an apprentice to top plumbing companies, and you discussing things across the board. And it can only be good for the industry. So to answer your question, Willem, 100%. I like what I see, and I think there's many people and companies and plumbers out there that would agree with me.
Also, just before we started recording, again, the long conversation we had before we started recording was the fact that part of being a professional body, the requirements from the South African Qualifications Authority, part of and one of the most important requirements is that professional bodies should apply and implement and enforce continuous professional development. And that refers back to what you just said about dealing with the plumber who has just stepped into this trade, being an apprentice, right through to the person who's got 50 years of experience.
Correct.
Making sure that they keep up with their trade. We said it, everything evolves. The trade and the industry evolves. There's constantly new tools that come out. There's constantly new methods because, you know, method of doing something is improved because it's always a solution to a problem. You struggle to do something this way, so find a better way to do it. It's an improvement, but it's evolving. Methods, materials, products, those kind of things.
Yeah.
And if plumbers stagnate and they never keep up, you know, that's why it comes back to the person who's now just learning about the trade, right through to the plumber who's got 50 years.
And PIRB is exposing that.
Yeah.
So they cannot go wrong. And I just off the topic, last night I was thinking of when I started my plumbing. And plumbers today, I don't think would know what a caulking tool is. When we were pouring lead in joints, where we making holes in walls with a round chisel. So it's evolved, but the plumber today has got no excuses not to get involved more in his industry, learn more, follow the trends, the new, like you just said, the new products and all that, because it's been exposed by PIRB. All these road shows that you're doing, that you people do, and that all these plumbers come to, they exposed to it. They've got a better idea of direction, of, you know, how they want to run their business. And I think they got to thank the PIRB for that, really and truly. And I'm not here just saying it for the sake of saying it, because if you are exposed to all these products, all these different regulations and whatever, you run a better business. It's as simple as that.
Yeah. Last question, because we've run out of time. We have to close this episode off. Aubrey, it was awesome having you.
Thank you, Willem.
One last question, quick one. How do you see the future, and how would you like to see the plumbing industry in the future in South Africa?
Back to where it was, at the top of the list. Trust.
Yeah.
You must be able to trust that plumber that's coming in, or that's coming to do your installation. From the little maintenance domestic plumber to the bigger projects, the commercials. I'd like to see that trust back in the industry, and the professionalism that, look, we haven't lost all of it.
Yeah.
There's some of it that's gone astray. Doesn't mean we can't get it back. And to come in, working through the PIRB and that, there's only positiveness that I see. And I think in the next couple of years, we're going to have a totally different industry. With, you know, the institutions that we're dealing with now, it can only be for the betterment of our plumbing industry.
Aubrey, awesome. I think we're definitely going to invite you for a follow-up episode on this. It's just loads. It's so lekker.
Start paying me.
Yeah, time is money, and time is no work, no pay.
No, Willem, I want to thank you for inviting me. I've enjoyed it, and yeah,
it's just so lekker to have plumbers who take such passion in their trade on the show, and then plumbers who support, you know, the initiative that is the existence of professional bodies and institutions and organizations, you know, that support and want to improve and uplift the trade and the industry.
That's what we need. We need that in our industry, and to pass on our knowledge and that to the next person. As long as Willem, it's the right knowledge.
Yeah. Yes.
It's the correct way to do things. Because you do get people, some of the plumbers out there, cut corners and things. That is not for me. But if you want to pass on good knowledge, pass it on, grow our industry, get back to where we were as professional plumbers.
Well, there you have it. Aubrey Keble, having been in the trade for 50 years. And I want to thank our viewers also for your time and having tuned into this episode. We are going to cross over to some more industry news now. But from Aubrey and myself, that's a goodbye. We'll see you in the next one.
Hello and welcome back. Our Plumbers Scratch and Win is working in association with Ariston to bring you great prizes. Download App Plumber now and stand a chance to win prizes to the value of 10,000 Rand. And lastly, World Toilet Day is just around the corner. Come join us on the 17th of November in celebrating water sanitation and make a change towards sustainable development. Until next time, I'm Sihle Peme. Goodbye.